Today, leaders who succeeded in beating back some of Donald Trump's most controversial first-term plans are warning that round two is now here. As Trump takes his first post-election steps on immigration, elevating hardliners while plotting raids, camps, and mass deportations. Today, NBC News learning that Stephen Miller, the architect of the notorious family separation policy, is expected to be named Trump's deputy chief of staff for policy. Trump also tapping as border czar Tom Homan, who has touted workplace raids and mass deportations. Both officials known for echoing Trump's language demonizing immigrants while implementing his plans.
On day one, my administration will terminate every open border policy of the Biden administration. We begin the largest domestic deportation operation in American history.
I will run the biggest deportation operation this country's ever seen.
America is for Americans and Americans only.
They're poisoning the blood of our country. Getting them out will be a bloody story. If you come back, you will be executed. You will be killed immediately. Not going to be easy, but we'll do it.
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
So this is now more than just rhetoric. As the Washington Post reports, Trump's win puts militarized mass deportations on the agenda. The Wall Street Journal noting Trump advisors are now drawing up plans for the deportation push, including weighing a national emergency declaration that would allow Trump to repurpose military assets to detain and remove migrants. Several Democratic governors saying that they're going to fight Trump on an array of his draconian policies, including immigration. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey becoming the first to explicitly state her state will not cooperate with mass deportations. And immigration lawyers are getting ready for battle. That includes the ACLU, which scored wins against Trump over family separations and his travel ban. The group now sending an open letter to Trump, vowing to defend people's rights in the courts, at state legislatures, and in the streets. There's a lot happening today, including renewed threats from Trump to abolish the Department of Education. Trump picking MAGA ally Lee Zeldin to run the EPA. And Trump naming GOP Congresswoman Elise Stefanik to be the United States ambassador to the United Nations. But we're going to start tonight with the fast-developing fight over immigration. Joining me now is Cecilia Wong, ACLU National Legal Director, and Fernand Amandi, political strategist and an MSNBC political analyst. My thanks to both of you. Cecilia, Trump is getting the gang back together. You got Tom Homan and Stephen Miller. They are the epitome of that idea that the cruelty is the point. Your thoughts on how bad it's going to be?
So, Katie, absolutely. With the appointment of Tom Homan and Stephen Miller, Trump is starting to launch his attacks, not just on immigrants in the United States and people who are at the border seeking a fair chance to apply for asylum. Trump is really announcing that he's going to be attacking American communities around the country. Miller and Homan are both right-wing extremists. It's clear that with their announcement, these are the architects of family separation. These are the architects of the Muslim ban. These are not policies that the majority of Americans want. This is not about having a fair and secure processing of people at the border. This is really, as you heard from Trump himself, an attack on the interior of the United States. When they say they're going to launch the largest domestic deportation force in history, we have seen this before, not just with the first Trump administration, but when local sheriffs like Joe Arpaio, former sheriff in Maricopa County, Arizona, or police forces and sheriff's departments around the country decided they wanted to go after immigrants in U.S. communities. You see door-to-door raids with U.S. citizen children and spouses in mixed status families also taking the brunt. We fought this before and we'll fight it again. Donald Trump has announced with these two appointments, he's going to go door to door. He's going to go into our workplaces as Americans, and he's going to launch an attack. Well, we're ready to meet him wherever he goes.
You know, Fernand, I have a lot of respect for Cecilia. I think, Cecilia, you are one of the most brilliant people that I know, but I'm going to respectfully disagree because you said this is not what a majority of Americans want. But, Fernand, a majority of Americans voted this in. When we played that sound leading up to this segment, right, that wasn't me saying it. That was Donald Trump and Tom Homan. That was Stephen Miller. Those are their own words. So, again, rendered speechless, this is exactly what a majority of Americans are asking for.
It is indeed, Katie, and this is why so many of us were so concerned. We're sounding the alarm, really, since the moment it became clear that Donald Trump was going to seek the Republican nomination again and inevitably became the nominee of that party, because we are now going to be living a living nightmare here in this country. And let's not pretend or not sometimes speak the reality of the horror happening before our eyes. The immigrants are the first step. The idea here is to go after this group, the most vulnerable, to create this militarized force that will now have access to every sector of the United States. And they'll start with deporting undocumented immigrants without any concerns of what that means for the economy or the local communities or the fear and even the violence and death that is going to come and result from that. But it's also a pretext through which to have this effect that you will not be out of line. Anything you do that is against the wills of this Trump state will have these kind of punitive damages. You heard Trump himself in that clip you played said, "We will kill you if you come back. We will execute you, and we won't think twice about it." Right now, it has also set off a tremendous sense of anxiety across the country. I think you're going to be seeing over these next 2 months, before Donald Trump is sworn in as the next president, a movement all across the country. Many immigrants are going to try first to go to these sanctuary states, sanctuary areas, to try and seek some sort of respite, which will cause an issue of its own in those areas. So it's a dark time. There's no sugarcoating this. I think, as Cecilia says, we have to be vigilant. We have to come together as Americans and do what we can. But this is, sadly, the consequence of an election